Okay, welcome to lesson 2. Now, in this lesson, we're going to dive into talking about what will your webinar topic be about. This is probably one of the most important things because obviously your topic has to speak clearly and resonate in order to potentially make that sale. So let's talk about this. Really, understanding what type of webinar content you create depends on the type of audience you are attracting. And we're going to decide exactly what you will broadcast based on your webinar. But first, let's talk about you. Let's talk about what is your story, why do you do what you do? Because understanding your why helps you to tap into the most important factor in a successful webinar, which is storytelling. You see, the key to a good webinar is storytelling. Now, the reason I show this image is because this video is selling a product that essentially taps into the power of storytelling, into the power of the best type of storytelling. This particular product, which is called Poopery, is a product that essentially takes away the smell and the odor when you go to the bathroom. Now, this is a video you can find on YouTube, and it sells extremely well. It's a physical product that sells extremely well because they tapped into understanding two factors. First, storytelling. They're really good at telling a good story, and you don't have to be a storytelling genius to do this. Storytelling is going to be coming from your own personal experiences. Just remember that. That's what we're going to learn here. You're going to go through this, and you're going to understand that storytelling is based on your own experiences. But second off, the second thing about this is that they really understand who their audience is, right? And because they're hitting all of those points with their audience, you see their audience, probably women that are in their 20s to 30s to any age, really, essentially they are probably the more aware demographic for caring about if there's an odor when they go to the bathroom, right? Well, that's why they've had this wonderful British woman doing these, and just her voice, and she's so proper when she's doing it. It's just an amazing juxtaposition and a great way to sell a product that kind of could be a little weird if you think about it. But at the end of the day, they know their market, they know who they're targeting, and they're good storytellers. Okay? So what I want you to think about is your why. Be creative, have fun, and think outside the box. Now, again, you don't have to be a genius at storytelling. This is all going to be relatable to your factors, your life, okay? I want you to tap into the things that you had to go through in order to get where you are now. Those elements of storytelling are key when you're crafting a webinar, right? You want to tap into your failures and successes as it relates to who? Because this isn't about you. This is not about you as much as we are talking about that it's that you have to tap into your why and you have to tell a good story and it's going to be your story, but this isn't about you. Who is it about? It's about your audience. It's about who you serve. And I want you to start thinking about how you can relate to that audience. That's what storytelling is all about. It's all about you showing just enough of who you are so that it's relatable to your audience, because here's the thing. The key is to share your personal story as it relates to your audience, making your webinar content relevant to your audience's own status in life. They know less than you probably. I want you to think about it this way, that they are probably 3 years behind you, right? So you have a little bit of knowledge that you've gained over, 3 years. I mean, heck, it could be only 6 months of knowledge that you've gained, right? And your audience is going to be those who've been going through struggles that you went through, and you are going to be sharing with them your triumphs, but also relate to those struggles, okay? And start thinking about this. What does your audience need that you provide, okay? What does your audience need that you provide? So what this means is, what are some of the solutions that you learned when you were going through the pain points of X, Y, and Z? Okay, while you were you were dealing with those pain points, what are some things that got you out of those pain points or that you learned from? And because that's what your audience, that's where they're at. They're at that pain point place. They're at the point where they want to know solutions to whatever problem they're having, and that's where you come in. So embrace this concept. You have an audience no matter what, okay? No matter what, there's an audience out there for you, because here's the thing you have to remember. There are always going to be people that have more knowledge than you, and those are probably not the people that are going to resonate with your message. They know more than you, so chances are the people with less knowledge than you are the ones that are going to be following you. And as I said, that knowledge, it can be, you can gain knowledge over 30 days, right? You can gain knowledge in a day. We never stop learning. So it's all about where you are in your experience compared to where they are in their experience. If you've had more experience, if you've, made more sales online, or maybe you've figured out how to tap into traffic with Facebook, if you've done that and they haven't, that's what you essentially teach, okay? And you want to make sure that you do not become a false, quote unquote, false idol or false god here, or a false guru or a false teacher or trainer, that you teach what you know, and never, 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 never teach what you don't know, okay? Never, never, never teach what you don't know. That's why I'm teaching this, because I've seen literally thousands of automated webinars. I run an automated webinar platform, okay? It's a software that does live and automated webinars. And so I know webinars. I know automated webinars especially, okay? So let's continue on. Let's talk about creating your avatar, okay? Let's talk about this, because this is going to help you to really, really tap in to your audience. Now, there's a PDF that you'll be able to download, and you can fill this in as well. So it's a workbook that you can use. So let's go through this and talk about a customer avatar. So what is a customer avatar? Simply put, it is a detailed profile of your target customer. And the reason you really want to take time to carve this out is because choosing a customer avatar, or determining a customer avatar, will, number one, allow you to market to a specific niche. Number two, focus your marketing message instead of wasting time creating the wrong message. And many of us tend to do that. We oftentimes think that, hey, you know what, I'm assuming what this message is. And when you assume, you are not getting a clear picture of the message. So we want to make this really crystal clear for you. Number three, you can increase conversion rates when you really, really know the big pain points of your audience. And number four, you can attract a more qualified customer, because they are saying, yeah, well, he understands me. He knows what I'm looking for, right? Or she or he understand what I'm looking for. And a lot of us, we tend to focus on the wrong pain points, the wrong thing when we're looking at doing our webinar creation and topics. So this really narrows down what exactly you are going to be doing based on your audience's pain points. And maybe you have to do some surveying. Maybe you have to figure it out while you're out there. And again, this also saves you money by avoiding bad advertisement, which, let's be honest, when you start going down the advertisement route, that's where really creating an avatar really matters, because now, this is, time and money. So putting this energy in the beginning will help you to make sure you're managing properly and creating the content that really matters for your audience. As Abraham Lincoln said, give me 6 hours to chop a tree down, and I'll spend the first 4 sharpening my axe. That really lets you know that, spending more time determining these factors now will help your product sell later on, okay? So understand that these are really important. So now let's go in and talk about the 7 elements to the perfect customer avatar. And just as an overview, they are these things. Demographics, right? Pain points, one of the biggest things. Challenges, a big factor, and we're going to talk about how those challenges should relate to your challenges. Remember, all this should be relatable to your own story. So D is goals, E is values, F is input sources, and G is objections to the sales. Okay, so let's dive in and talk first about demographics. Now, when we say demographics, we're talking about age, sex, location, okay? If they're live in a certain location, level of income, marital status, number of children. Why do we talk about all these? Well, it helps you to picture them while you teach. See them sitting across from you at a table asking for advice. This is important because, you know what? Oftentimes I price my products around the demographic of my audience. So if I want someone who can respect the fact that this training is not inexpensive, but it's high level training, then I am going to go for a certain level of, say, income, right? Something to that effect, right? Or knowledge. This is another aspect, a knowledge level. If they have a certain knowledge level, that's going to be important. Because maybe you're not connecting with the beginners, maybe you're connecting with your intermediates because you are maybe more advanced, okay? But what I really love about having a demographic is that you can picture your best audience member watching you and listening to you. And that's really what you want to do. You want to take that customer avatar and have them positioned to where they're seeing you, they're loving what you're doing. That's what I always do when I make videos. I don't picture like my mother or my family members there. I picture someone who absolutely loves my training and is gaining valuable information from it. And that's what I advise for you as well. It helps to really get clear on your message. Now let's move to B, which is pain point and fear. Now, these are probably some of the biggest elements to focus on in your webinar when you're creating it. Now, the reason being is because we all hate, of course, or dislike that feeling of pain or suffering or, not knowing. And that is, that's the biggest factor here. So what is the fear that your audience might be experiencing? Here are just some of them. Maybe it's the fear of what people think, or fear of being ridiculed, or fear of public speaking, or fear of flying, or fear of playing the piano in a crowd, or fear of sitting in a dentist chair. You have the solution to their fears, so get to know their fears. Your solution is going to get them over that hurdle. So start thinking about that. When people say, Casey, what are some what are people terrified about doing webinars? Your biggest fear is, again, fear of not being liked, or fear of looking bad in front of the camera, or fear of not being an expert, right, when you go live. So when I talk about a webinar, I talk about that I used to do terrible webinars. I did awful webinars when I first started out. And even though I did terrible webinars, they still sold. And the reason they sold is because no matter how bad you are on a webinar, they still build a know, like, and trust and create authenticity in your business, right? So that's me saying, this is your fear. This is the solution to your fear, or this is an objection to your fear, right? And that helps me, of course, when I'm talking about the power of webinars. So you see how that can work. If you can create a solution to the fear as it relates to suddenly your product, then you're handling those objections one by one, knocking them down. All right, so let's move on to C, which is challenges in life. All right, now these are very similar to fears, but these challenges, they should relate to your audience because we all have these challenges because we're all human. So, the things that the buzzwords that really work well are lack of time, maybe lack of knowledge, lack of skill, looking good at a meeting, finding customers, getting more leads, finding good employees. If you know what they are looking for, you can help them find it, right? So, for me, I know that the people that run a webinar, as I just said, they're wanting to look good at a meeting. They also want to get leads. They also, maybe have a lack of time, especially if you find out that your avatar are people that have a 9-to-5 job, or are people that are working mothers who are completely busy during the day. You can handle the objections of what those folks are looking for. So they have a lack of time. They might be looking for some way to counterbalance that lack of time as a busy mom, right? So automation could be a factor, right? So this is really, so when I talk about automated webinars, it's good for people that maybe have secondary jobs. They're doing something else, but now automated webinars can give them that freedom of life while they're busy being moms or busy being, at a job that they're still trying to transition out of, right? So getting to know the challenges in life are going to be helpful for your objections when you handle those. Okay, D is goals, okay? Goals. So after we've talked about, obviously the challenges in life and the pain points and the fears, now we're talking about goals, right? The challenges in life are where they're at, and if you are showing them the solution to those challenges, that gets them closer to what? Their goals, right? Maybe they want to make more money, quit their 9-to-5 job, lose weight, run a marathon, play piano, take better photos. Well, your product, your software, your program, your coaching, your service is a solution to their goals. So if you know what their goals are, you can help them reach those goals, okay? That's the power of it. That's the power of it. So for me personally, I know that your goal is to make more money on an automated fashion so you have more freedom to do other things, right? You're finally trying to tap into a system that works, a system that actually can work, and see results of it working, and finally then feeling a little more relaxed, because that's the problem with running an online business, is that we always have fear of where's that next money coming from, right? It's that we're working so hard this month, we're working month to month or day to day just to try to get to see where that additional sale is coming from. Automated webinars are great because you can start to scale your business up once you tap into doing them correctly, right? Once you know that your webinar is selling, then you can put it into an automated webinar that essentially can work for you in autopilot and be that one thing that can create a level of stability for you, right? So think about that. If you know their goals, you can help them reach the goals. Okay, E is values. Now, values are pretty important, and the reason they're important is because trust is a big factor online. And if you can't create that level of trust with your audience, then you're not doing your job right, or you're missing out. So what the idea of values is that you should show a little bit of your own life, okay? Because ultimately you're going to show your own life, right? Or your own lifestyle, or your own family life, because that's going to help them see that you relate to their values. So for instance, if they know that you're honest, maybe you have a family, you're in a good marriage, you don't have to be in a good marriage, you don't have to have a family to sell products, right? But they just want to know who you are personally, and maybe even see insights into your life, right? Because they want to know your person. Remember, there are two things that people connect to in a webinar or in sales in general. One is heart and logic, and the heart is the story. The heart is where they understand who you are. So when I'm talking to my audience, I let them know that, pretty much all about me. I live here in Los Angeles with my wife. We have 2 cats and a dog. We're adopting 2 children from Haiti right now. It's been challenging. We've been doing it for some time, but we're excited to have those boys come home. I go into some detail about who I am, right? So I show insight into my own life, and I think and the importance of that is that it allows them to see your values. In turn, you see their values, and then you know the parameters and limits in their lives. Because if you're potentially selling something that is on the too gray of gray morals, if your audience that you're attracting, they don't have that same value set where they're like, okay, I'm okay with the the gray morals. Essentially, then you're butting heads. You're not aligning with that audience. So understand the people that you're attempting to attract, right? This is good for you because this is how I look at it. I try to attract the people that have my same values, right? So if people start seeing what your value set is, those people that see your value will start being attracted to you because of that. So that's the thing about it. Like, when people they resonate with you because of certain things. Like when people start talking about me, oftentimes they say Casey is full of energy, he's full of excitement about these, about different strategies, about methodology. He loves teaching, and I love when people see that, because that lets me know that they see that I'm excited, right? And they're the type of person that resonates with my energy, right? And that's exactly what you're looking for. So oftentimes when you express your own set of values, you attract those same people, okay? Okay, now let's talk about input sources. Now, this essentially is where people are getting their information from thus far about whatever topic you are sharing, right? They have a baseline based on whatever might be out there, whether it's learning something at a trade show or listening to a podcast or reading some blogs or reading some magazines that they have or gurus that they trust. If they have an already existing baseline, it's important for you to know where their knowledge level is at, because you're going to fill the gap in of their knowledge based around your product and what it does, okay? So if they have a basic knowledge of webinars, because this is an example, let's look at webinars. The National Association of Realty uses webinars. Colleges and universities use webinars, such as the University of Southern California. So a lot of people know what a webinar is, but they don't exactly know what it can be used for, and they don't know what an automated webinar is. So when I do my training, I talk about, this is what a webinar is. You may have seen these, Fortune 500 companies use it, or in different niches use webinars, but this is what I'm also going to show you. So you want to make sure you understand so that you can share with them additional knowledge that they need to really get behind your program, whatever you're selling, because at the end of the day, they get excited if they are seeing something for the first time that other people don't know. So now you're taking their baseline and you're giving them a knowledge source, which gets them excited, because now they're going to be ready to make that sale, to come on through once you start teaching them something that 99% of the baseline information out there doesn't tell them. Does this make sense? And the cool part of what we've been talking about is really objections to the sale. And this continues on into the objections of the sale when you start talking about money, right? Or time. So oftentimes there are certain things that people say in the objections to the sale as it relates to these things. So oftentimes people will say it's too expensive. The product is too expensive, or the training is too long. Or do I already know this information? Or how much daily time must I commit? If you work out the objections ahead of time for people, you can answer them in the sales copy. And that's really, really powerful. So you can, answer any of the objections. So how expensive? Well, don't worry. We have a 3-pay option. If it's too expensive for you, first off, if you can't afford it, don't buy it. But if it's too expensive, we do have a 3-pay option. The training is too long. Well, guess what? This training is not going to take you is not going to take up all of your day. These are, 5-minute video sessions, bite-sized chunks that you can take at your own pace. Do I already know this information? So we are going to give you information in this program that teaches you both the basic knowledge, but also it's going to be sharing with you top strategies and different strategies that you can implement even if you have a basic knowledge or even a intermediate knowledge. So, as I said, working out the objections ahead of time and having that in the sales copy of your webinars, especially in the Q&A part of it, is extremely valuable for getting people to take action in your platform. Okay, so again, let's summarize this whole thing. So here's the bottom line. Knowing your perfect customer avatar helps you to focus your attention on attracting the right customer. Because here's the thing, you begin to talk to less people, which is good. You don't want to talk to everyone. You want to narrow your message to the people that want to listen. Because the more it's narrowed to the people that want to listen, the more buyers you get. You'll have a higher conversion and you'll make more money. Okay, so here is your homework. We call this homework, cross it off the list. I want you to make a list of your customer avatars, pain points, and hopes, and try to start thinking of your webinar topic based around this. So fill in the information as much as you can for your avatar, right? And then that will help you to start seeing what your webinar topic is going to be about, okay? Now, I know this is early, but if you start thinking about your webinar topic now, by the time we start to discuss your webinar headline, you will already have come up with a title, all right? All you have to do is download the avatar PDF and start filling it out, and then take a screenshot of it and submit it in to us, okay? All right. Thank you so much. I can't wait to see you in the next lesson. Let's keep going.